Hiya folks, Will back once again for the very first time in 2017 as we are going to be breaking down UFC on Fox. Fight Night 103 Rodriguez v Penn from Phoenix, Arizona. First of all, I hope you had a great festive period to end 2016 with. Christmas, I hope you all had a great Christmas, a great new year. I thought UFC 207 was a really fun card to finish off the year with Cody winning the belt and Rousey getting annihilated. And a masterclass from TJ Dillashaw. So really happy to be back for some fight card predictions. I've been looking forward to getting this one out for the past week or so. So looking forward to talking some fights here. First of all, I just want to say that I made a UFC Pick'em League through UFC Fantasy. The link will be in the description box down below. Please come and join. I've got some people from Twitter. I've got some fellow predictors of fights. And some friends as well, some very close friends in this. So come and join us and let's see who can finish on top for the year. Of course, my big goal for this year is to hit 1,000 subscribers, and with your guys' help, I really do think I can get this done. I'm sitting at 680 right now. If I could just get a good, constant, steady stream of subscribers for every video, then we might get close by the end of the year. So come and give me a little hand with that if you can. Tell a friend to tell their friend or whatever, and let's get some subscribers there. As always, please like, comment and subscribe for this, and please do so for the people that are down below in the drop down box who make great content on whether they're predicting fights, whether it's DraftKings, whether it's interviews. These are people down below that fight week or on the run up to fight week that I always watch their content to help me with some things that I may have to look into. So please go and show your support and like their content if you can. Getting into this card, not a good card to kick off 2017 with. It's pretty weak. The first 4 or 5 fights, I'm like completely all over the place. I've watched a lot of footage and trying to be confident in picks, but it's really hard because there is a lot of low-level fighters on this undercard, especially your Fight Pass ones. Hopefully I'll pick the right ones out, we will see. But I think that the main card has a few good fights on there. Unluckily, Jimmy Rivera fell out with that fight with Brian Caraway after Caraway got injured. Chito Vera got injured, I think, or Jimmy pulled out, if I remember right. I remember watching my boy Best Fight Picks interview with that. I can't really remember what it was about, how it all came together. I just don't think he really wanted to bully Vera a little bit, which is fair enough. He wants to get that title belt, so he wants to face the best guys. So getting into this card, let's get into it. Try not waste too much time on it because it's not one of your best cards. Maybe it might be a weakest one of the whole entire 2017, but we still got to break them down. Starting off in the heavyweight division, we have Dmitri Smoliakov against Cyril Asker. Both guys, second fight in the UFC. Both guys coming off losses in the UFC. Smoliakov coming off that loss to Luis Enrique, getting submitted in the second round there, and Cyril Asker after he got slapped by Jared Cannonier back in Croatia. Originally I was going to go with Smoliakov, but I'm going to go with Asker in this one. As I say, not confident in the first couple of picks here of this card, which I will show you, which I will put my confident picks in the description box as well. But Asker, I just think that overall, I think he might just put it all together a little bit better than what Smoliakov can. I think if he was to get it to the ground and appear to get top position, I think he could really put a beating on Smoliakov. Came out in that fight against Jared Cannonier. I watched that literally a couple of hours ago, and came out, swung some leather, but he did get slapped with a huge punch by Jared Cannonier. He needs to move that head a little bit. He needs to tuck his chin and not have it high in there, because that's what he did in that fight, and he was made to pay in it. I mean, he came from the EFC where he fought Andrew Van Zyl, Ruan Potts, who are not really good heavyweights. The African scene is not particularly great, and he went over there and he won their heavyweight title. And we've seen that Jared Cannonier, he's moved down to 205, a very tough fight on his own. I think Cannonier he probably is better than what Luis Enriquez, even though Enrique's coming off a pretty dominant victory himself. I just think there's something. See, originally for the last week I was going to go Smoliakov. Last few days looking into it, I think I'm a little bit more confident, not a whole lot, in going Cyril Asker. I think if he can find a way to get it to the ground, he can very, very easily stop this fight with some big elbows and some big punches down there. So I'm going to go an early third round TKO there for Cyril Asker. light heavyweight division, we have Joachim Christensen against Bojan Mihajlovic. I'm going to go Christensen here. I think Mihajlovic is probably one of the worst fighters in the UFC roster at the minute, and I don't think we'll see him after this. I did think he got a bit of a bum deal in his UFC debut facing Francis Ngannou, who is one of the best prospects in the sport without a shadow of a doubt, and got starched in that one. He's moving down from heavyweight, so he's 235, so he's got this weight cut to deal with as well. Christensen coming off a fairly decent showing against Luis Enrique. Lost the first round very convincingly, came out, took the fight to the ground, was doing very well down there. He actually dropped Luis Enrique in that one, but he got caught in a submission against, I think he was a purple belt in Enrique, and supposedly Christensen is a black belt. Do not believe that in the slightest, because some of these fights I've seen outside the UFC, he is very sloppy down there. But I do think he's better than every facet than Mihajlovic here. He's long, he's a bit rangier. I think he can clinch him up against the fence and work on him there and look for takedowns. And once he gets the takedowns, I think he can definitely get a finish. I think Mihajlovic will start blowing hard in the middle of this fight, and Christensen can take over. I can see this being very sloppy, but I'm going to go Joachim Christensen via decision. Lightweight division, two newcomers to the UFC with Devin Powell against Drakkar Klose, and this is one of my most confident picks in the whole entire card. My pick, I'm going to pick Drakkar Klose in this one. Devin Powell, he was on that Dana White looking for a fight show, and he faced a guy he faced this guy called Jonathan Lemke, and he beat him with inside a minute on that fight and caught him with a standing guillotine, and looked a bit sloppy in doing so. But then this is crazy. So that was like his second ever pro fight. He has six other pro fights. Then he faces this guy again, the guy that he beat in a minute, who's coming off 4 losses himself, to try and catch Dana White's eye, and he does it, and he gets brought into the UFC. I was a little bit sceptical when I seen that. Watched that Jonathan Lemke, and he is a very, very bad fighter. He's got a 5-7 record, and he coming into the UFC after a guy you beat very, very convincingly in your first fight, and then getting that rematch, it's just like it's a gimme pretty much. But I like Drakkar Klose in this one. I love fighters that come out the MMA lab, because they're tough, very, very tough, and they're very well taught, and usually they've got a facet of their game which they're very, very good at. So let's say Tanquinho, Augusto Mendes, a very good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, but majority of them are very, very tough. Barberena's very, very tough. I think Luke Saunders was there for a little bit. He's very tough, very well-rounded fighter. I just think Drakkar Klose can starch this dude big time. Klose comes from a wrestling background, seen his last couple of fights. In fact, there's a lot of his fights on YouTube, a lot of his jiu-jitsu fight matches on YouTube as well. But he's got a nice win over Hugh Pooley last time at RFA 44. He just needs to wind it in a little bit. If he he comes from the wrestling background, use that, but the guy's the destructor, and he just wants to get into scraps, and that's something he has to be careful with here against Devin Powell. Just don't go gung-ho and look to really take the guy out. Try and fight with a little bit of strategy in here, and I think he wins his fight easily. But I do see him coming out very, very hard in the first round and catching Devin Powell in something here and put him to sleep. So I'm going to go a late first round TKO for Drakkar Klose. And the main event fight on the UFC Fight Pass prelims, Jocelyn Jones-Lybarger against Nina Ansaroff. Fairly decent fight this. I'm seeing a lot of people going with Nina Ansaroff in this one, and with reason, she's fought the better caliber of fighters, maybe just a little bit because Lybarger has fought Marcos and Tisha Torres. But the one thing that I like about the person I'm picking here, I just think they're tougher and they go hard over the 3 rounds, where Jocelyn Jones-Lybarger, as I say, will be my pick here. I think she's quite long. She's not got much power. She is very accurate. I think overall striking, Ansaroff is the far better striker, but I do not like her gas tank. I think it fades quite badly, and it does flag up after the first round. She is the girlfriend of the UFC bantamweight champion Amanda Nunes, so that's a great training partner to have. But I mean, she lost to Justine Kish, Juliana Lima, and those girls are tough. Keish, I rate Keish quite highly, but I like Lybarger in this one. I think she's going to get off first. I think she's going to use that long jab, try and make it dirty. And the one thing that I like about this, why I'm picking Lybarger, it's in her hometown, it's in Arizona. So she might get a little bit of that home cooking, which happens when you go to certain people's hometowns. So I see this being very close. I can see Ansaroff winning the first round. I can see second round being very, very close, but Lybarger getting it. And then I can see Lybarger coming into the third round and just putting on the pace on Ansaroff and winning a very close split decision. So I'm going to pick Jocelyn Jones-Lybarger via split decision. Moving on to Fox Sports 1 card, heavyweight division, Walt Harris against Chase Sherman. Literally just come off watching the Chase Sherman fight with Justin Ledet, and that guy's got one hell of a chin. He's got no head movement, he's got no defense, he's got very little movement altogether, but the guy has got one hell of a chin. He took some shots in that one. He took over like 110 shots in that one, delivered some beautiful leg kicks. Now that's something I think he has to use in this one and keep Harris at bay, but get in, use the shots. He went headhunting in that fight with Justin Ledet. If he used some body shots and just a little bit of movement, hopefully that's something that he's worked on in his time away from his last fight. It's just his movement, because it was lacking big time in that fight with Justin Ledet, and would like to see him use that, but use those leg kicks, big, heavy leg kicks. But as I say, against Walt Harris here, coming off of that big win over Cody East, followed up with a split decision loss to Shamil Abdurakhimov, which was not a great fight, very close, but I thought that Abdurakhimov did win that fight. A big athletic dude, when I seen him in Vegas, like, this guy's a unit, a really big guy, so if he can put it all together, he's a very dangerous fighter. But I'm a little bit torn in this one because I think Chase Sherman can win the fight, but I just don't feel confident in picking him. I think he's too easy to hit. Along with Harris's athleticism, I think that if he can mix in takedowns and use that size here, he can easily win rounds. So I'm going to go Walt Harris. I'm going to go via decision. But I can see this being sloppy, and I can see Chase Sherman actually possibly doing very well in this fight. Official pick will be Walt Harris via a unanimous decision, though. Alex White against Tony Martin. I think it's a fairly decent underrated fight. And this is another fight I've been going particularly back and forward on, for the simple reason Tony Martin's been out a little while. I do think he's the better fighter, but he's coming off a pretty serious injury of the C6 and the C7 of his neck. So neck surgery is never anything to fuck around with, and that's making me, I think if both guys were healthy here, my pick would definitely, I'd definitely commit 100% to Tony Martin. But that getting surgery, along with Alex White moving up, not having as big a weight cut as he usually has, they're both pretty similar sized guys, similar size reach. I just think that this fight is going to be really close, and I can see it going to the judges' decision. I mean, Alex White's coming up from 145 after beating Artem Lobov. Tony Martin beat Felipe Oliveira back in February, so he's had nearly a year out due to this surgery, due to his injury there. A great interview with James Lynch about on Tony Martin there. If you should go and watch that through on his channel. This is a fight that I've literally just changed my mind on within the last 90 minutes or so. I was going to pick Alex White. He's a huge underdog as well. He's plus 230 over here in the UK, and that's a really good underdog to be betting if you're looking at that. I actually really want to bet Alex White, but I just can't pull the trigger in this one, and I'm going to pick Tony Martin. Why I'm going to pick Tony Martin is I think that he's going to get takedowns in this one, and I think once it gets down there, he's crafty enough to move to advantageous positions while doing so with like some nice ground and pound and winning rounds. I think on the feet it'll be pretty close. Maybe give the edge to Alex White in that one with the high kicks, the leg kicks that he can use when he decides to use them. But I'm going to pick Tony Martin. I think it's going to be really close. If you're looking for an underdog to bet in this card, there's one or two that I really like. Alex White is one that I really want to take a stab on, but I'm going to stay away altogether because I just think it's a very close fight. But I'm going to pick Tony Martin via split decision. Very, very close fight. Just feel a little bit more confident in picking Tony. in this matchup. Heavyweight division, Oleynik against Viktor Pesta. Now I see this very, very dominant for Oleksiy Oleynik here. I think that Viktor Pesta is not anywhere near like the full finished standard that he could be to be in the UFC. He has lost to tough guys, but I don't see any particular improvements in his game. So against Oleynik who has been around for 60, 65 plus fights, this guy's seen it all. He did cost me last time against Daniel Omielanchuk. I thought he could find a submission on Omielanchuk there and lost the decision. I think that Pesta, he's going to strike here, and he's going to get really, really sloppy, and Oleynik's going to find a takedown. Once this gets to the ground, Oleynik is in his realm there, and he is going to look for submissions, and he's going to try and constrict him a little bit. I think his nickname is like the Constrictor or something like that. So I think he's going to find a limb. I think he's going to submit him here. Pesta, if he gets off to a quick start and establishes his striking, I think he can win the fight. Maybe if he can get out to an early lead, I just feel a lot more confident in Oleynik here. He's one of my most confident picks. He'll find a way to take down Pesta, put him against the cage, take him down, find a submission. Going to go second round sub for Oleksiy Oleynik. And moving on to your Fox Sports 1 main fight here, we've got John Moraga against Sergio Pettis. I've been going back a little bit back and forward in this, but I have came to a decision on the pick after some things I kind of put together in my head with certain information that I found out and that I've heard and that I've seen a little bit. John Moraga, got speaking to him in Vegas in April. He hasn't fought in a long time, and he's had a lot of injuries, like a lot of injuries. And I've heard the retirement talk being. I've seen a few articles him talking about this could be potentially his last fight. He's the injuries are catching up on him, and that's scary for any fighter to be saying that to go into a fight here. As soon as fighters start saying that, I don't think you can pick fighters based on that merit. Plus, I think that Sergio Pettis, I just seen today, he's like weighing at 130 pounds, looking in great shape, going into this fight, heading out to Arizona. The one thing that's really, if this is Moraga's last fight, he is fighting in his hometown, so he could definitely get lifted by fighting in his hometown in this one here. Pettis is not the finished article. I'm hoping that he can be, because I do think he is a really good technical fighter, and we've seen that in the flyweight division he has got some potential. There's a lot of fighters in that division that have got good potential. Moreno's another one, Smolka, Borg. He's beat Chris Carriaso, Chris Kalides, two veterans down there. Lost to Ryan Benoit where he was winning that fight and just got hit with a shot. But I am more confident in Sergio Pettis here. I think that the longer this fight stays standing, the more advantage the phenom Sergio Pettis has got. If it goes to ground, I think it could get very interesting. I think Moraga's tricky down there, but my pick's going to be Sergio Pettis. More confident in this pick here, so I'm going to go Sergio Pettis, unanimous decision victory here. Main card, moving into this one, Frankie Saenz against Augusto Mendes. Now this is an underdog I really like, and this is an underdog I'm going to bet. So I've got Augusto Mendes at plus 150 now. I'm kind of thinking whether to wait a little bit and see if it goes up, or just jump in that line. I think I might just jump in that line within the next hour or two here. And like this fight for Augusto Mendes, a lot of people say, he lost to Cody Garbrandt. I've seen that on Twitter. I've seen it on Facebook and certain sites that talk about fights. Says, he's only a jiu-jitsu guy. And that's true. The guy's got elite jiu-jitsu. But he's coming in against Cody Garbrandt in very short notice, and we all know what Cody Garbrandt is now, and he's the guy that dethroned Dominic Cruz. He is the UFC bantamweight champion, and looks the real deal. If I'm being honest with you, I think that he's got a lot of big things to come in his career, has Cody Garbrandt. So you can't really count that first fight, in my opinion. Because he was coming in short notice against the elite guy in the division, or one of the elite guys in the division, I should say, because shouldn't be disrespectful to Dillashaw or Cruz or any of the bantamweight division is the best division in my opinion in the sport at the minute. But Frankie Saenz, how he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to try and clinch up with Augusto Mendes and look to just kind of stifle him and steal rounds. On the feet, I think this fight is very, very close. I don't see Saenz with too much on his feet. I really don't. I think that probably Mendes might even be the better striker in this one. Saenz just wings punches to get you against the cage and look for takedowns. And some fighters, he can do that. But he doesn't want to go to the ground with Augusto Mendes. He can't go in there looking to try and take him down, even clinch up, because Mendes will grab something, take you to the ground and look for submissions down there and find something. Mendes' fight with Evan Martinez, he was on the outside pushing Martinez up against the cage, using his strikes to go in for a double leg, and he caught that double leg 3 times in the 2 rounds that he fought, and then he managed to get the finish via strikes there. So that's his clearly his Achilles heel is his striking, but I don't see it being Achilles heel against Frankie Saenz. So that leaves me to the clinch work, to the grappling work, and I think that Mendes is a decent wrestler. To go along with his jiu-jitsu, I think that it makes for a really good opportunity for him to win this fight here. So that's why I'm going to pick Tanquinho in this one. I'm going to pick him. I'm going to pick him by submission. Yeah, I think I am. I think he finds a way to get this fight to the ground, and once he gets it to the ground, I think he can put a beating on Frankie Saenz, and this might be the downtrend of Frankie Saenz's career. You've seen that against Eddie Wineland where he got taken out. Wineland seems to be moving back up again, so maybe I'm looking a little bit too much into that one, but I feel very comfortable, very confident in picking Augusto Mendes in this one as an underdog play, and I'm going to pick him via submission in round number 2. Welterweight division, Court McGee against Ben Saunders. Another fight I've been going back and forward on, and a fight which was a little bit weird because the UFC cut Ben Saunders. I think he had one fight against Jacob Volkman, and then they brought him back. Really, really weird one. Court McGee, I think he's on another fighter who's on the downside of his career. I think that he's taken a lot of punishment. His body's starting to give up on him a little bit, and I think that, his will and his heart's always there with Court McGee, but we're starting to see there's some limitations. I thought if this went back 2 years ago against a fight against Dominic Steele, he would have starched Dominic Steele, and he did come out and he hurt Steele, but Steele had his moments in that fight as well. And his last 2 wins are against Marcel Alexander Jr. Don't think he's with the company anymore. Dominic Steele, I don't think he's with the company anymore. And his losses are 2 tough guys. LaFleur's a tough guy to face, and Ponzinibbio was on an upward spiral in that division as well. I just think that Ben Saunders, I just see it being really close, and Saunders maybe just edging it. But I originally went with Court McGee, but I am going to go. I think that he's an underdog as well. No, that I don't think I'll bet Ben Saunders at all. I don't think I'm going to make many bets for this card. I don't think it's a really good looking card for betting. But I'm going to pick Ben Saunders via a close decision. I think that he does enough in the clinch. He could hurt McGee there, take it to the ground. I think McGee maybe has enough to stick with him on the ground, but I see Ben Saunders win the decision. So that's my pick there. Co-main event, Joe Lauzon against Marcin Held. And I called the Marcin Held fight pretty straight for his fight against Diego Sanchez. I just seen no way that was a good fight, and he was the betting favourite in that one, which I had no idea why he was the betting favourite in that one. He was in Mexico against a guy who's got an elite gas tank, who keeps coming and brings the fight to you. And this is another tough fight for Marcin Held in his young UFC career. Joe Lauzon, I don't think is a fighter that too many. If I was coming in being a young guy, Marcin Held's only 24 years old. Joe Lauzon is not the kind of. There's other fighters in that lightweight division you want to face ahead of Joe Lauzon. Joe Lauzon, although I think he is on the downward end of his career, the guy is still really, really tough. And I thought he got shot on his last fight against Jim Miller. I thought he won that fight pretty clearly, in all honesty. Lost the split there. Knocked out Diego Sanchez, which has never been done. Evan Dunham, he lost to beforehand, who is a fighter on the rise. Very, very good. And can take nothing away from that when he lost that one fair and square. But on the feet here, Marcin Held does not have much on the feet. He does not have a great gas tank. He does have a very good ground game, but I think Joe Lauzon's ground game is going to just overshadow Marcin Held's in this one here. Now, Held could could find something here and maybe get a submission. I just don't see it. I think that Joe Lauzon is very tricky down there, and he's just on the feet. I can see Joe Lauzon potentially hurting Marcin Held, and Held just wanting to go to the ground and survive, and that's where I see this fight really taking place, on the ground. And I see Joe Lauzon just bossing every position they have down there, as long as he's not complacent, because Marcin Held will, if he has an opportunity, will go for a leg lock, will go for a toe hold, and look for submissions and jump on submissions as well. I just think that Joe Lauzon is very, very... this is the kind of fights that I think he can look very, very good in, and I see him looking very good in this one. Nice to see that he's keeping active as well. Fought in July, fought in August, in space of just over 1 year he's got his 4th fight. I like that, especially a guy on the tail end of his career, and not looking too shabby, to be fair. Joe Lauzon, for the amount of times, the amount of fights that guy's been around for, he's still looking fairly decent. I like Joe Lauzon in this one, and I'm going to go via decision. The main event of the night, and I don't know what the UFC are playing at by. I mean, BJ Penn, should he be coming back? I don't think he should. I'm a massive BJ Penn fan. Got to meet him last year in Vegas, 2 years ago in Vegas. The guy's a legend. I mean, the guy is a legitimate legend, but there's matchups to bring him back to. I mean, they brought him back for the Dennis Seaver fight, I think it was. He got injured. That's a fight I think he could potentially do very well in. Cole Miller, that's a fight I think he could potentially do well in. Ricardo Lamas he had, that was a terrible fight. He would have got starched in that one. And now they're giving him Yair Rodriguez, who is pulsating through that UFC 145-pound division, featherweight division. And this is just a complete and utter showcase for Yair Rodriguez here. If Yair comes out and just completely mesmerises, throws some funky stuff at BJ Penn, I think that he's just going to start covering up and just getting hurt in this one. I mean, the last time that BJ Penn won a UFC fight was UFC, like that fight, I scored it actually 29-27 for John Fitch in that fight as well, so he got a draw in that one, but his last win was November 20th 2010 at UFC 123 against Matt Hughes. And to be fair, he came out and he starched Matt Hughes in that fight. He has very good boxing. The one thing that he has been doing, he's went to a great camp, he's went to Jackson's, and we know that they guys are really going to kind of help you put a good game plan together. I think Yair was out there at Jackson for a bit, so they might tell him some inside stuff that he knows. But I think Yair's the type of fighter, with every fight he's showing something different. He's just very unpredictable, very athletic, and that fight with Alex Caceres, having that 5 rounds, hard rounds at altitude in Salt Lake City is a big thing for that kid. I believe before that he starched, not say starch per se, but completely knocked out Andre Fili at UFC 197 with a beautiful knockout, one of the best knockouts of 2016. I just don't see this being a good fight for BJ Penn, not unless he can get this to the ground. BJ Penn is a 6th degree Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and I would love to see this fight go to the ground, because then we could see what Yair Rodriguez is all about, see if he's got those skills on the ground that you need in this division to move forward. Just don't see it happening. I see him coming out, throwing a lot of funky stuff, and BJ Penn just being mesmerised by this and taking an unruly amount of shots. I mean, that fight with Frankie Edgar, the 3rd one, was terrible to watch. Don't want to see that again. Hopefully this is BJ's last fight. He doesn't need to. I'm just not a fan of him coming back for this fight, especially against Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez, for TKO in rounds 1 or 2. I'm going to go round 2. I think he survives round 1 and then gets taken out in round 2. So that's my picks for UFC Fight Night 103 from Phoenix. I'll be back for UFC on Fox 24 from Denver, Colorado. Valentina Shevchenko against Juliana Pena. Cerrone Masvidal. I think Ngannou's on there against Arlovsky. Some really fun fights on that card. Keep your eye on that. That's the 28th, that fight. So might give it another week. My predictions will be out for that one. Please like, comment, subscribe. Come join me down on UFC Pick'em, and let's see what you're all about. See how good you are at picking your fights and predicting them. And come follow me on Twitter, WillMartin7MMA. You can follow me in Carpartech to follow my bets, even though I'm not having much for this card. So enjoy the fights when they come around, and I will see you for UFC on Fox 24 very, very soon. Peace.